It is the divide. President William Ruto's party is fast becoming another Tower of Babel, as in fighting reminiscent of the discord that plagued the Jubilee outfit during President Kenyatta's administration escalates. Yesterday, UDA Secretary General Cleophas Malala intensified the war of words by demanding the resignation of outspoken cabinet secretaries Kipchumba Murkomen and Moses Kuria over their political activities. That is in quotes. That is pages 4 and also 5. And I see here just reading some of the quotes being stated. Rigathi Gachagua saying some politicians around the president want to meddle in Mount Kenya politics to fight me. Central Kenya politics is so complicated and we hate betrayal. As Mount Kenya, we have never interfered with Rift Valley politics and we deserve respect. Moving on, Cleophas Malala saying Cabinet Secretaries Moses Kuria and Kipchumba Murkomen have been engaging in political activities contrary to the law, which requires them to remain apolitical. Mutahi Kahiga saying the feeble attempts at fighting Rigathi Gachagua will ultimately bring the mountain together and keep the mountain solidly behind him. You can read more on the same on pages 4 and 5. Moving on, I see here how the billions changed the game, and this is the annual meetings assemblies annual lease. This is a story in the back page. That is not on the back page rather, but page 10 is a story here, so let me just go to it so that we can look at it more. African presidents now banking on cheaper credit to steer economies. Ruto says the continent is not seeking handouts, but aspires to grow by accessing development funds on fair terms. Rwanda President Paul Kagame here saying that we know in this world, countries work for their own interests. Africa's interests must be taken care of, beginning with ourselves. And still on the top page, Nat Kuppet in battle for JSS teachers. Two teachers' unions are embroiled in a silent battle to entice junior school teachers to join them in a bid to increase their membership. The 39,550 teachers deployed to JSS would boost the membership of any union and also contribute significant amounts of money in monthly union dues to the organizations. Interim officials of JSS Teachers Lobby say they have been approached by both Nat and Kuppet with offers to join their ranks. This is the story on the back page. And on the same, I see here that Nat mainly draws its membership from primary schools, while Kuppet members come from post-secondary institutions. So look at that story that is on the back page of the Daily Nation. And page 2 here, I see alarm as counties lack vital drugs over 3 billion. KEMSA debt. Patients are unable to get painkillers, antibiotics, antidepressants, anti-cancer, and anti-diabetic medication. I see here KEMSA Chief Executive Officer Dr. Andrew Mulwa saying, we are stocked up to 70%. You can come and visit us. I will give you a tour myself. And page 3, I see CDF at 20, how the billions changed the game. Frustrated by lack of cash for projects, the then All-Kalu MP Muriuki Karue proposed the fund. In 2004 is when the first tranche of cash from the Constituency Development Fund was disbursed. That story is well written on page 3 of the Daily Nation. And moving on, I see page 26 here on the county news. Frequent fistfights in house spark concern. So I see here on Tuesday, the MCA traded blows after a motion to impeach a senior official failed. County Assembly members here saying the Assembly demands the immediate payment of the outstanding 100,000 shillings before proceeding with any house business. I need to see that this is not the first time that MCAs are being embroiled in a physical altercation over partisan political differences. And I see here similar ugly scenes were witnessed during the impeachment of former Deputy Governor Robert Monda. Look at that story that is on the 26th page. And coming to the DN2 today is all about property. So I see protecting your property's structural integrity. So experts stress that waterproofing the right way should never be ignored. And one of them emphasizes the need for its explicit inclusion in national building code, something that needs to be very important. And this is a story we actually covered when we were having so many news going around about the floods that were happening, and even some houses were brought down in that season. And here the question is your building correctly waterproofed from basement all the way to the roof? So it's not just haphazardly done, but properly done. Experts say absence of waterproofing provisions in the building codes is a cause of many failures because it allows some builders to compromise the material that they use. Look at that story on page 36. I believe this will be important even for those who are planning to build or are in the process of building, but it is being suggested that it needs to be in the code of building houses. And moving to the sports page, I see page 51, death knell sounded for Kenyan boxing as Hit Squad fails to punch Olympic tickets. 4 members of the Hit Squad have already been eliminated from the final Paris Olympic Games qualifiers in Bangkok. And page 50 here, I see Flick wants the titles at Barcelona after being appointed coach. And that is on the Football Bayern Hire company after Belgian coach parts ways with Burnley. And now coming to the Standard still on the war, Mount Kenya here. I see that is actually the very top story here. And a stern warning by UDA Secretary General Cleophas Malala to politicking cabinet secretaries and warring politicians from functions allied to both President from factions allied to both President William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua has triggered a vicious intra-party battle that is threatening to implode the ruling party as leaders trade words. This is a story covered in the Daily Nation and also in the Standard. You can have a look. That is on page 4. And I see here vaccine shortage hits infants hard amid funding cuts. This is a story on pages 2 and 3. High stakes in Haiti mission. This is page 18. And I also see here still on the top story, sports page, Kenyans eye glory in Oslo. And coming to the page 2, alarm as public facilities grapple with shortage of crucial vaccines has been well elaborated, and more on the same. I see here Solomon Sirma, who is the Baringo Health Executive, saying, I have information that the country has received vaccines and we are hopeful that they will be distributed anytime. This is on page 2. Also 3 still on the same, vaccine supply hit by 1.4 billion shillings. Budget cut. Budget was reduced from 2.6 billion to 1.2 billion. PS assures that UNICEF will ship in vaccines next month. This is a story on page 3. Page 4, Malala triggers war in UDA as he rails at leaders over split loyalty. A memo from Malala has exposed undercurrents in the president's party. Leaders have dismissed their secretary general as a busybody who should be voted out. Mutahi Kahiga, who is the Nyeri governor here, saying acting SG Malala in UDA is like a square peg in a round hole. He doesn't fit. We must get rid of him in the coming UDA elections. Political wrangles there. That is on page 4. Coming to page 6, Ruto masterstroke as Gachagua Mudavadi hit by huge budget cuts. President Ruto has asked Treasury to slash off some percentage of the confidential vote for his office. That office, Deputy Rigathi Gachagua and Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi. I say the confidential vote is a discretionary fund at the behest of the holder of the office and is not subjected to any audits. And I see here page 7 still on the doctors' strike, the nurses actually. I see here we won't end strike until we get 3.5 billion, clinical officers say. I see here the 700 clinicians are on day 58 of their strike for better pay, work conditions. Union boss vows to lead 1,000 health workers to parliament next week. Look at that story on page 7. And moving on to the sports page, page 40, on form Sancho eyes Wembley redemption with Dortmund. Borussia face acid test against Champions League giants Real Madrid in final. Saturday's showpiece will be on Sancho's latest chance to prove Manchester United wrong. Look at that on page 40 of the Standard. And I see here, page 39, Kenya's eye glory in Oslo Diamond League meet. Timothy Cheruiyot to renew rivalry against Norway's Ingebrigtsen as Waithaka faces Cheptegei. Kenyans will be hoping for another good show after outstanding shows in Oregon last Saturday. And moving on to page 38, Laporta gambles on Flick to restore Barcelona's luster. Flick, who has signed a 2-year deal, replacing Xavi. Look at that story on page 38. And just to conclude with the Business Daily, I see Kenya Power to compensate consumers after blackouts. IPRA to compel utility to give consumers free tokens, customers to be compensated within 3 months. That's what is being reported on the Business Daily. And I see here more on the same: prepaid customers will get free tokens from Kenya Power, while those on postpaid plan will see their bills netted off as compensation for irregular or poor quality electricity supply and unannounced blackouts in fresh regulations. This is a story on the Business Daily, and that is on page 2. And in the back page, in Asia, investors start de-risking from US on geopolitical tensions. See, wealth managers and banks say clients are asking, what's their American plus one, as Washington miles more protectionist measures and trade sanctions against China. And on to the last word by Robert Greene, who is an American author, saying, you do not hold on to past ways of doing things, because that will ensure you will fall behind and suffer for it. This one needs to be said again for the people at the back, and louder. You do not hold on to past ways of doing things, because that will ensure you will fail, you'll fall behind and suffer for it. Robert Greene, American author. That's it for the newspaper review. Please do grab a copy of your favorite, and don't forget, Hope FM at the top of every hour, we have amazing news updates with our amazing anchors as well. And right here on Hope TV, we have 7 p.m. Dira, and we also have News Watch that is at 9 p.m. So you can tune in and get to be informed. Most importantly, let us keep praying for our nation, Kenya, and let us believe that God is on our side at all times, no matter what happens. So I'll be taking a short break as we look at the video of the day today. I'll be back shortly.